497-649-7. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you go. There you have it. We are back, and we are live, and we are back in studio for the first time in over a week. We come to you here inside 97.7 ESPN The Zone Studios. It is Talking Ball. Scott, Tyson, Drew, DeArmond. And what a day it was yesterday. Yesterday we celebrated our Fleming Roofing and Restoration High School Football Media Day. We had that over at Toyota Field inside the SportsMed Stadium Club. And what a day it was. We had all 17 schools that reside in Madison County. That includes Huntsville City, Madison City, and all the private schools. We had all 17 schools there yesterday. We had all 17 over our airwaves. Fantastic day. They got to play around with the green screen. They made a little hype video that'll air at Joe Davis Stadium and Milton Frank Stadium throughout the year. Fantastic day. Thank you to all of the coaches. Thank you to Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Thank you to SportsMed. Thank you to the Trash Pandas. Thank you to everybody that had a hand in it. We need to thank our good friend Jonathan Gorey over at Metro Diner, the one on Highway 72 in Madison. Pinch hit there and came through with a heck of a lunch. We had chicken fingers and fries from Metro Diner. So big thank you to Jonathan Gorey. And make sure you stay with 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, and Talking Ball, because coming up this football season, we're going to have a special little thing for you courtesy of Metro Diner. So make sure you stay with us. 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the show, be a part of the program this morning. It was fun to catch up with all the coaches, all the familiar faces, some of the new coaches that are in the area. Over the next couple weeks, we will bring a lot of those to you as we start counting down towards the start of the high school football season. It'll be here before you know it. So will the start of the college football season. It'll be here before you know it as well. So let's see if we can pull up just how many more days. Now, this is till week 0 of the college football season. We have 32 days, 4 hours, 56 minutes, and 39 seconds till the start of the new college football season. That's week 0. So then you got 39 days until week 1 of the college football season. That is when both Alabama and Auburn will kick off the new year. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about the Big Ten Media Days. We'll talk about ACC Media Days, because last week we were in Dallas for SEC Media Days. Those have come and gone. The ACC is going on right now in Charlotte. The Big Ten is going on right now in, I believe it's Chicago or Indianapolis. I got to look and exactly see where they're going on. But I know both of them have started. It's actually at Lucas Oil Stadium in, I believe it's in Indianapolis. That's where they've had it the past few years. It is in Indianapolis. See? Got to go with what I know. And I know it's in Indianapolis. All right, so the Big Ten does not do a poll like the SEC does. So when you go to the SEC Media Days, all credentialed media that are there, on Wednesday of that week, you get a ballot. And you fill out said ballot for preseason team of the year or preseason order of finish, who's going to make it to the championship game, and you fill out your preseason ballot for players. Well, the Big Ten does not do that. The Big Ten does not do a preseason media poll. They don't do one. They usually just look, Cleveland.com puts one out. Several other media outlets put one out, but they do not put one out, does the Big Ten media. They don't ask them to vote for a poll. But the expectations in the Big Ten coming out of media days is that Ohio State would be 1, Oregon would be 2, Penn State 3, Michigan 4, Iowa 5. Those would be your top 5 in the Big Ten, followed by USC, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Rutgers, Washington at 10, followed by Maryland, Minnesota, Illinois, Northwestern, UCLA, Michigan State, Indiana, and Purdue. That's how the 18 teams would stack up, according to Cleveland.com, who handles a lot of the preseason polls in the Big Ten.
Well, I don't blame them. I mean, I hope they don't have something stupid like preseason players of the year and preseason all Big Ten. As far as individual honors, I think it's dumb. I don't mind, as I've said, picking a conference and picking the teams, but I will say this: it's probably hell freezing over. But I don't completely blame the Big Ten for not picking a preseason poll either. I mean, it's not. I mean, you never know,
right?
I mean, but the reason I say picking the teams is not anything that is valid is because we have preseason polls where people start out, we're ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I understand ranking the teams. Don't understand ranking the players and giving a guy preseason all conference honors because might get hurt, might play poorly, might get replaced. So to me, you should just pick the teams. But still getting used to hearing UCLA in a Big Ten poll near the bottom.
Yeah, and Oregon obviously picked to finish. They say picked to finish runner-up in the Big Ten.
See, and that's another thing, though. Like, okay.
They haven't played a Big Ten schedule. Haven't played a Big Ten game.
Haven't played a Big Ten game. Just
now,
like when we were deep in the hard overrated, and they're already picking Texas to make the SEC championship game. SOBs hadn't won the Big 12 in eons till last year. Eons.
Oklahoma has won more Big 12 titles
now
than
all of a sudden,
Texas.
They're going to the SEC. They're just going to snap their fingers like Aladdin the lamp, and they're just going to start dominating the league. Not going to happen, guys. You're fixing to get your ass whooped a lot.
Well, if you could only have been in Dallas and been around the Texas media for about 24 minutes, you would have figured out that they love them some Texas.
They do.
Woo, they love them some Texas.
Hope they love bourbon because they're going to need it.
To your point, Cleveland.com puts Dan Lanning as the preseason coach of the year.
Why do
in
that?
The Big Ten.
Don't do something stupid like that. Preseason coach of the year. I mean, just stupid. I don't even think the SEC does that.
No, they don't. They don't. No
Just
other
dumb.
conference does that.
Well, okay, let's not put out the players. Let's not do a poll. But let's we don't even have an official Big Ten media poll for the finish of the teams. But let's have a preseason coach of the year. Give me a break for that.
Anyway, the other media day that is going on right now is the ACC media day.
Joy to the world.
Oh, it can be.
Yeah.
It can be a joy to the world.
The cult of mediocrity.
Well, listen to Jim Phillips. This is.
I guess that's the commissioner,
right? This is the commissioner.
Okay.
Boy, oh boy, is he trying to sell his football conference.
Oh boy.
ACC football has the toughest non-conference schedule in the country. 27 games against Power 4 opponents, including Notre Dame. 9 non-conference games against teams ranked in the final 2023 AP Top 25 poll. 10 non-conference games against teams in ESPN's 2024 Way Too Early Top 25. All of these are the most of any conference. We have elite coaching leadership. 6 ACC head coaches named to the 2024 Dodd Trophy preseason watch list. No conference has more. 2 of the 3 active coaches in the country to win a national title reside here in the ACC, Mac Brown and Dabo Swinney. And the combination of our proven veteran coaches combined with our dynamic young coaches is incredibly powerful. The ACC is the conference of quarterbacks. 13 enter the season with over 20 career touchdown passes and 3,500 career passing yards. 8 quarterbacks are projected to start week 1 in the 2024 NFL season. 25% of NFL teams. And since 2018, at least one quarterback has been drafted in the first round in 5 different drafts, the only conference that can state that claim. ACC football has the nation's top returning passer and receiver in yards per game from last year.
There you go. He just goes on and on about how good.
Suck! I mean, come on. Give me a break with this. I mean, Dabo Swinney didn't even want to be there. And neither does Mike Norvell. They both want to be gone. Hell, North Carolina, they're not going to admit it, but they probably want to be in the SEC and break Duke with them. We'd love to have you.
Oh, speaking of that, Jim Phillips kind of laid the – just take a listen to this one too.
Really important time for the conference. And either you believe in what's been signed or you don't. And so we are going to do everything we can to protect and to fight the league because I see a group of student athletes there. We now have 12,000, I think, 200 student athletes. And this has been a league that started way before me 71 years ago, and will be a league that'll be around a long time after I depart. This league deserves us to take this really serious issue and to handle it appropriately. What gives me, promise and conviction of it? Because I understand, I think these schools, I understand where we're going. We've made some really good adjustments. And this conference is bigger than any one school.
There you go. And that is in allude to Florida State, Clemson battling the ACC in court to try to basically end their grants of right.
I mean, good luck. I'll believe that when I see it as far as it working. But, I mean, it's a fact they don't want to be there. But here's the problem. I don't think the SEC and the Big Ten want them either one of them. So
we learned that, I think, in SEC media days.
So where are you going to go and earn substantially more money? Are you going to go to the Big 12? But does that guarantee you more money? So, I mean, sometimes the grass ain't always greener on the other side. So that's all I'm saying. So I don't know where they're going to go if they're going to try to, make up the difference in the money. Because I know that because that's what it's all about. They see the TV deals that the Big Ten and the SEC are getting, and the share of each school, and they're not happy with what the ACC has. I mean, because if the ACC trust me, Scott, if this was all equal and the ACC had a television deal and a revenue deal that was at least close to the SEC or the Big Ten, you wouldn't be hearing any buzz about them wanting to leave. You want to know why? Because they're playing in the Bush leagues where it's easier to get to the playoff and easier to win. But it's a money deal because they feel like, okay, these other schools are making $25, $30 million more a year than we are. So they have more resources than us to win. And that's why they want out. But they don't fit, neither one of them fit in the Big Ten at all. Now, of course, you can say neither do the Pac-12 teams, and that's very valid.
Right.
And they do fit in the SEC. That is a fact. But I just don't think because Sankey's a savvy guy, it's all about televisions, and he's already got South Carolina, had South Carolina since 1992. Clemson didn't seem interested back then in wanting to come to the league. And then Florida State, same deal. They were wanted by the SEC. They took the easier path to the ACC. And it's one of those things where at the time it was the best move for them. They won 2 national championships, 93 and 99. Whoops. Now all of a sudden it's not the best deal.
Yeah.
Because they should have probably gone to the SEC when they could have. But, and now, they've already got Florida here in the Southeastern Conference. So it's about getting into new states. And I think if the SEC were to expand again, that's what it would be about. Because when they took Oklahoma and Texas, Oklahoma, of course, got them into that another state.
Yep.
And they were a national brand, and so is Texas. But, Texas is a kind of a different deal because, let's be blunt, we all saw it deep in the heart, overrated. They bring more national spotlight, Texas does.
No, they do, for mediocrity.
No, they do from a standpoint of their visibility than Florida State.
No, you're right. You're right. Let's go to the phone lines. Jeff from the Borough is with us this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
I hope ACC bankrupts their butt. All they care about is football. They care about nothing else. I hope they wind up like Birmingham Southern, shut down. Just shut their butts down. They don't need to be fighting. I hope ACC wins. I hope they will. If they take every penny they got, and the goalposts too. They don't care about any other sports over there. It's Tallahassee or Clemson, but football. That's all. That's all they're worried about. They don't care about other sports. They don't care about what else they got. It's all about football, true?
Now, you're talking about those two schools, right? Specifically?
I'm talking, yeah.
Okay,
In
I got
Miami, them in Miami. I just care about football. The rest of them, The rest of them is basketball.
I mean, that's
And you know
valid.
it.
That's valid.
You know
I mean, yeah.
I mean, come on. What history is for us having basketball? Outside Leonard Hamilton coming from Kentucky. What else they got? What's Clemson got going to the Final Eight last year? Getting lucky and going that far. I mean, give me a break. I mean, come on. Miami, what do they got? Jim Larinaga. Woo, whoopee. He took George Mason to the Final Four. Hoorah. Give him Oreo double stuff. Give him some double stuff. Let them leave. Let them do what they want to. I hope they bankrupt them. I hope they go to the Supreme Court and just bankrupt get every last piece of grass over there. Tallahassee. They ain't got nothing else. And what does the SEC want them for? You want ACC and SEC to merge? Well, so we have 35 teams in. But let's see, how long will media days be? Through a month? July 1, July 31?
Well, I think it's inevitably would be 5 days.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be about a month. Yeah, that means.
Well, I mean, because I don't think it's going to be 35 teams, but you go to 20, you're going to end up there 5 days. I mean, it's just inevitable.
Oh, don't.
Well, I mean, I'm saying whatever.
No.
Well, they're obviously expanding. Right?
Cannonball run on a Saturday into Sunday.
Well, whatever they'll do whatever, and basketball will still be 1 day for 20 teams, so we know what that deal is. But I just want to say one quick thing. I did listen to a little bit of Stoops, and for four questions, two about A&M and two about Calipari. Did anybody ask about Pitino?
I did not ask a basketball question. We stayed till the end of Mark Stoops' press conference.
Did anybody ask about Pitino?
No.
I certainly didn't.
Summer? You know what he done this summer?
No.
What?
He gave $1 million NIL for football. And he said he'd do it for basketball. See, nobody does it. They don't know, because those guys up there don't know how to spell research or do it. That's what they don't know how to spell. They don't know how to spell it. Or do
I
it.
asked a football question about Barry
I know
Brown.
you did. I know what you have. I'm just saying, no. They asked about Calipari. Stupid. Nobody cares. And A&M, I told you, the reason why A&M didn't hire him, they took one look at his SEC record and said, get out of here. That's why they didn't hire him. Period. That's why they didn't hire him. So y'all have a good day. See y'all.
Well, they didn't hire him because there were some higher-ups and some boosters that said, "Hey, hell no!" I think some of the AD and some of the other leadership at the time, and again, it was a previous AD. Remember, I don't think Bjork had left yet.
No, he had not left.
So they were very interested, but even Mark Stoops admitted that on the podium. But things happen, and things fell apart, and thank goodness they did when Rich Rod. We love Rich Rod, but we didn't need him to lose him.
Yeah. Well, that was a little different, though, right? Because that was his heart. His heart didn't want that one, though, right?
Well, West Virginia kind of stepped up
a little
in that
too.
situation, but right. I think also Alabama was crossing fingers and toes near the end, kind of lowball a little bit, but it is what it is. Things all worked out for the best.
They did.
Rich got his opportunity with Michigan, didn't fit like oil and water, and he's bounced back nicely and certainly is helping football in our fine state.
That he is. Let's get a break in, shall we? 256-576-4977. That's how you can join the program on a Tuesday morning. It's Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
They should be clear on that wreck, Parkway and Maston Lake. Still got several to watch out for, though. One in Priceville, 67 near Deer Road. Got 72 and 101 at Elgin Crossroads, 251 and more.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere. Serving up the best and baddest burgers around. People have called our burgers totally insane. And at Bad Daddy's, we take that as a compliment. But it's not just burgers. Up first, starters like our fried pickles, wings, or poblano frites. Second, try one of Bad Daddy's giant chopped salads. Third, our famous chef-inspired burgers with lots of different taste options. And before you head home, finish up with one of our shakes or delicious banana pudding. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and Clift Farm in Madison. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling sluggish? Gentlemen, Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you. Braden is here. Braden, you've got the answers.
Thanks, Scott. Whether it's low T, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, or a number of other things, we have a solution for them.
It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call today at
256-850-1570.
You can find them online.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey! What man wouldn't like to have tests done in a man cave?
That's right. Come in for your free test and consultation, walk into a world-class staff, a comfortable, relaxed environment, and we got your results in about 20 minutes with appointments less than an hour.
And the big game is always on the TV. It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call.
256-850-1570.
You can find them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Huntsville/The Zone. Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, 256-576-4977. That's how you can join us on a Tuesday morning. Just talked a little college football there in that first segment. ACC, Big Ten Media Days rolling on. One's in Charlotte, one's in Indianapolis. Once those are done, all the Power Conference Media Days will be over, as the SEC was last week and the Big 12 was the week before that. So everything will be concluded at the end of this week. That means the start of the college football season quickly approaching. As we mentioned, 32 days until week 0, 39 until week 1 of the college football season. Yesterday, you and I spent the entire day over at Toyota Field. SportsMed Stadium Club is where we called home our Fleming Roofing and Restoration High School Football Media Day. 17 schools, all 17 schools in Madison County, private schools, public schools, Madison City schools, Huntsville City schools. They were all there. Got to shake hands and just visit with some coaches, visit with some very outstanding student athletes. I'm telling you what, they were outstanding yesterday.
Yeah, they did a great job and got a chance to be on our airwaves, got a chance to be interviewed by local media, both on the television side and the print side. Thomas Ashworth, welcome to the Huntsville area, new prep writer for AL.com. Had a chance to connect with him. Jimmy Lay was there as well. So we were able to give the kids a lot of exposure, and we had a chance to see some familiar faces in new places with Jerry Adcock who's been a great friend of our show at Whitesburg Christian Academy. Of course, he'll be in his first year. I thought Kevin Korean was very impressive, taking over that JP2 program, and it was really nice connecting with him and Fred Ferrier. Well-dressed, Natalie-clad Hazel Green Trojans.
Oh, they were the best well-dressed of the whole entire day.
No doubt.
All right, so the start of the high school football season is quickly approaching as well. So make sure you stay with 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We've got high school football coming your way over our airwaves. Make sure you have the app downloaded. Search 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and you'll be able to have the app there. So we got all kinds of good stuff coming up here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We do, yes.
Coming up a little bit later this morning, we're going to talk some more college football recruiting. Keith Niebuhr. It's been a long time since we talked to old Keith down there about the Florida Gators. And then Billy, Embody, we got to talk a little LSU as well. So
yeah,
we'll
both of them
around.
had like major additions in the last few days, and while we were down there in Dallas, and I talked to Billy a little bit. Billy also, it's interesting. He wears a couple of hats. We were just talking some ACC football. He covers SMU very closely, and we know what SMU's doing. They are going to the ACC, and they're making the move, and supposedly paying for it themselves. In other words, they're not even taking any money.
Yeah, they
from
raised
the ACC.
a lot of money.
Yeah,
because they are a private school.
They
SMU
are
is,
right.
And so they have the
Memphis.
ability, probably more than any other school out there, to raise a lot of funds. And they raise, I can tell you how much they raise here in a second.
Well, yeah, they've raised a ton of money, and they've been aggressive. They were in the American Athletic Conference. But you got to remember, they've been struggling since the death penalty in football in the 80s, and they've been trying to get back on their feet. And it's been a slow build getting back to Power 5 or now Power 4 football and athletics, and they finally have made their way into the ACC.
They raised $100 million in 7 days.
Wow. 7 days, huh?
Yeah. A group of 30 donors. They were able to get $100 million in 7 days.
There you go.
Now, because remember, they agreed when they made this move, did SMU to the ACC, that they were not going to get any revenue share for a couple years.
Yeah, that's true.
And so this money here will
help them
cover that for them not getting the money. They experienced a 103% increase in visitors to its undergraduate admissions homepage since the move.
Nice.
Yeah. So that is SMU. They were able to donate or generate $100 million. All right, let's 7:28. Let's get a break in because Keith Niebuhr is on the other side. Talking a little football recruiting, Gator-wise.
Vernell Brown.
What's Billy Napier got up his sleeve? We'll explain.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show. Followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
That's the price you pay.
Kind of fitting, isn't it? That's the price you pay in today's college
right now, man.
In today's college football world, how much are you going to pay to get the elite players? How much is your NIL or your collective willing to pay to get the elite players? I don't know. Kind of fitting.
No question. And Florida's recruiting definitely took an uptick in the last few days. As we talked a lot of Billy Napier down in Dallas. It was very interesting. It seemed as though people thought that his seat was the hottest heading into the season. I would have thought it would have been Sam Pittman, but and Pittman's one of them, one of two, really, I guess, with Billy Napier. But it seems as though Billy Napier's seat is the hottest. But he certainly got some good news on the recruiting trail in the last few days, including a 5-star legacy that committed to Florida. And we're going to talk about that and more with our great friend. He is the publisher of Gators Online, part of On3 Sports. It's been a little bit since we've had him on. We had his colleague, Corey Bender, on, though, in the last several days to talk a little Gators recruiting. And now we're going to talk to Keith Niebuhr, who's been kind enough to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Keith, welcome back to Huntsville. You were Drew and Scott. How are you?
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Been a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but I know you guys are tracking Billy Napier and the temperature there. But really a big one, being able to get Vernell Brown into the house.
Yeah, I mean, it was one they couldn't afford to not get. Let's put it that way. I mean, if you start losing high-profile legacy, that's probably not a good sign. And for those that don't know, Vernell Brown's dad played for Florida. He's a DB under. Actually, I think he signed with Spurrier, played under Ron Zook, and then played under Urban Meyer. He was like one of the only guys to actually be involved with all three. Granddad started in the secondary for Florida in the early 80s when Florida had some really good teams. I mean, the 83 team finished 6th in the country. The 84 team, arguably wins the national title if they wouldn't have been on probation. They finished number 3 and couldn't play in a bowl game. They were all set up to play the number 2 team in the bowl game. The winner, it would have been them versus Washington. The winner probably wins the national title. Instead, Florida is locked out of a bowl game. And remember who wins that year, guys? BYU.
That's right.
Kind of the fluky champion. So, and then he had great uncles play there. So, you just couldn't afford to lose this guy. And then on top of all that, he's just a really good player. You got to have these dynamic slot receiver guys these days.
Yeah.
And Vernell Brown Jr. is that. He's coming off a season when he had like 1,200 receiving yards. And then in 7-on-7 this spring and summer, the guy's been like uncoverable. Okay. He's just been so dynamic. And then also, he's got like a 4.9 GPA. I mean, this is a guy that's going to be one of the faces of your program. So, boy, guys, can you imagine what it would have looked like if they wouldn't have got this guy? I mean, do you know what I mean?
No, I mean, if we feel the heat, there would have been a lot more heat on Billy Napier for losing this one.
Yeah, and people start asking questions at that point, real questions.
Yep.
Like, okay, you're not winning on the field yet, but you tell us that everything's going great off the field and the recruiting is fine and doing what you need to be doing. And if that's what you're hanging your hat on and you can't land them, then it doesn't look good. But anyway, disaster averted, right? And, like I said, he's a really good player. He'll probably play a good bit in year one. And what that does is, they got another young slot receiver already in the program, TJ Abrams. That allows you to move Eugene Wilson around. And Eugene Wilson is their best offensive player. And for those of the people that, the Auburn and Alabama fans that didn't get to see Florida play last year, this guy had, 50-something catches as a true freshman. Very hard to tackle in the open field. But they had to kind of give him pop passes and 2-yard outs and things like that. Well, this year they've got another guy playing slot, and he's going to be a guy that they can get downfield. And this reminds me somewhat of what Auburn didn't have a couple years ago under Brian Harsin. They had to go 80 yards in 17 plays. Florida can't be that. And so they need big chunk plays, and Eugene Wilson being freed up, they can do that. And that's what Vernell Brown allows you to do next year. And they've got a couple guys they think allow them to do it this year. That changes the dynamic of the offense, potentially. makes him a little more dangerous.
Could they get more good news on Saturday?
It's possible. They've got, like everybody, they've got one of those big recruiting cookouts this weekend. I don't know if anybody's ready to make the move just yet. I mean, maybe. Of course, when you say you don't think so, somebody does it. But the guys we're really watching two guys that are coming in this weekend that we know of, and there could be more. The schedule's changed, all that. But the main one is actually another receiver, Nashawn Montgomery from Miami Central, very prominent program down in Miami, and 4-star receiver. Another guy that's just dominated at the 7-on-7 level. But they already have two really good receiver commits. And not only do they have Vernell Brown, who's 5'10 and a half, 175. They've got a kid named Josh Moore, who on 3 has as the number 57 recruit in the country, and he's 6'4". So you've now got the slot guy to go with the big outside receiver. And this guy, Nashawn Montgomery, fills another receiver position if you can get him, and we think Florida's the favorite. In fact, guys, he may visit twice this week.
Wow.
They're kind of battling Penn State maybe the most for him. That would be really the guy to watch. And another big visit is a kid named Ty Jackson. He's on 3's number 1 linebacker in the country. He's from Palm Beach County, which obviously is down near Miami as well. And, again, number 1 linebacker in the country for on 3. And that's probably a Florida, Georgia, and Alabama-type battle, maybe FSU too. He's not ready to make a decision yet, but if you're Florida, you're trying to lay some groundwork here. You know what I mean?
Right.
He'll be back again. He was just there for an official visit. He visited twice earlier this year, and he's coming back for the Florida-Miami game on August 31st. So, look, if you put a halfway decent product on the field this year and people feel better about, well, first Billy Napier's got to survive, and then if they feel better about the long-term future, they'll have a shot. They'll look more closely at the program. And Ty Jackson is that guy, and he's going to take his recruitment supposedly all the way into like late November, December. And every visit is consequential there. So while he isn't ready to maybe do something right now, you keep getting a guy on campus, and it can't ever really be a bad thing. And then if you win and you look good on the field, they think they're going to be good, guys. I mean, we'll see, right? We've heard that from other programs before. Some of them are good, some of them aren't, but they think they're going to be pretty good. They think they're going to surprise everyone. If they can do that, then this is a guy that they should be in with at the very end.
Yeah, no question. And that would be a big one, to get in the house, and because I've heard a lot of great things about Ty Jackson, no doubt about that. And
yeah,
and Keith, I got to ask you too. I mean, how hot is Billy C? Because look, man, their schedule's brutal. I understand that, but I said down in Dallas that if they win 7 games, he should be coach of the year, and he shouldn't be going anywhere. But, just from the Gator people we talked to that we trusted, it seems as though that 7-win plateau is kind of the magic number. And if it's 500 or less, if they don't finish strong, then he's not likely to survive. Is that kind of what you feel?
Yeah, probably. Now, one of my coworkers, he's got some well-connected sources that tell him that look, if they just look decent, he probably survived. In other words, the record might not have to be great. But, people say that in June and July. But come September and October, if you're not winning games, I mean, are people really going to be satisfied with a bunch of close losses, even though they're to good teams? Come on.
Right.
No, it doesn't work that way. And then the momentum starts to build. We just saw this at the national level in politics. Once the momentum starts to build, one way or the other, you're either good or you're not good, okay? And so I think 7 would save him. Now, here's the real issue, guys. If you win 7, I'm almost positive 7 would save. But if you win 7, guess what? It doesn't really necessarily help this recruiting class. Maybe a little. The kids like Billy. They like his staff. So some of them would say, okay, they're going to be there. Let's take another look at Florida. And they'll get some guys at the end. But if you only win 7 guys, guess what? You go right back into next season, same situation. Because 7 wins in 2025, year 4, it's just not going to cut it. Okay?
You're
so
right.
You go into another season on the hot seat. Now, is he really on the hot seat? I don't know. He's perceived to be on the hot seat, and perception essentially is reality, right? So if you go into another season on this perceived hot seat, right now the recruiting class is not great. It's taken a big hit from this, from the chatter out there.
Right.
Well, don't you think the same thing would happen next year?
Yeah.
Because then it would truly be a make or break season. We know definitively, okay, he's got to win in 2025. And a lot of kids would take the wait and see approach. they all start off taking the wait-and-see approach, and then other schools leverage them and say, well, hey, look, it's July, it's August. I mean, do you want a spot? They're not going to be here forever. And so, they commit to other schools. So you'd probably be right back to square one. So I think 8 wins is a very good total. It makes you feel as a fan, as a program, as a coaching staff, as a recruit, good about what they've accomplished. 9 wins, and you probably get some flips at the end, and you can really definitively say, hey, this is a program that's headed in the right direction. And I think that's going to be hard. But, on paper, guys, I hope I'm not running out of time here.
No, you're good. You're good.
On paper, they can beat just about any of the teams they play. Now, look, Georgia's going to be. I mean, come on. I mean, they're really going to be. They're really going to be good. Okay. And then I guess the other one you said Texas is at Texas, and that's going to be really tough. But everybody else, they're going to be tough games. Don't get me wrong. But can they beat an LSU at home? Guys, they can beat just about anybody at home. Yeah. They've got a home field that's sort of like Auburn's was for years, okay? And so they can beat a lot of these teams. The problem with the schedule isn't that individually you can't win these games. It's that they start stacking up one on top of the other, right? So look at their November. You start or the late October, early November. In succession, guys, they close. I believe I've got the order right. Georgia, Texas. What is it? Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, FSU.
Oh, yeah.
2 of them are on the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, 2 of them are on the road. And so on paper, I think they're better than FSU. Now, FSU fans are going to say I'm an absolute idiot, but they're going to say that anyway because I cover Florida, okay? But look, on paper, can they beat FSU? They almost beat them last year. Both quarterbacks were out, and everything else was pretty much even, to be honest with you. Can they beat FSU? Yes, but 1, it's on the road. 2, FSU's got an open week a couple weeks earlier and then has a cupcake the week before the Florida game. There is such a thing as attrition. Every coach will tell you after a while you get beat up, right? So who's going to be more beat up going into that game? So then all of a sudden that game on paper looks like a team you could or maybe even should beat, but 1, it's on the road. 2, you're going to be a lot more beat up than FSU. And there's a few situations like that. I believe Ole Miss has an open week going into the Florida game. Well, that's significant because that'll be Florida's 4th game in 4 weeks. Texas, of all people, has an open week before the Florida game. So if you're Florida, you're thinking, if somebody's going to steal one from Texas, that's the way the SEC works. Why not us? Well, Texas has, I believe, Vanderbilt and then an open week before they play Florida. I mean, so not only do they have to play all these teams, not only do they have to play Florida State and Miami and UCF, by the way, when Gus Malzahn thinks he's got his best roster, then you've got the open week situation. So Florida's open weeks are before UCF and Georgia. Well, you'd say, okay, that Georgia open week is significant. But guess what, guys? Georgia always has an open week before that game, too. So that's a wash. So those things do matter because, again, you're playing tough team after tough team. And so that's where the challenge is. Can they stay healthy? Can they stay focused every single week? I mean, now the upside of this is if you start winning, you start feeling a lot better about yourself. And you guys and I know this. Sometimes you overachieve. Sometimes if you're 7-1, you start playing like you're 7-1. You start looking like you're 7-1. I mean, I think about that 2010 Auburn team. Cam Newton didn't have a receiver on that team take a snap in the NFL.
So true.
I mean, that's unbelievable. They just started believing in themselves, right? They had the superstar, him and Nick Fairley on defense, and then everybody else just kind of lifted their game and they believed in themselves. And so, you can always have something like that happen. But Graham Mertz isn't Cam Newton. So let's just be frank
NIL,
there, okay?
Is Florida's NIL there to help Billy Napier? I mean, are they all on board on the same page?
Yeah, I don't. We hear differing opinions. I mean, I think it's serviceable. I don't know if it's one of the elite ones or not. Mm-hmm. And by the way, that doesn't mean – what does that really mean?
Right.
That's not a knock on the people running the NIL. I mean, other people, fans have to step up and give money. I mean, we hear about Miami having these 3 or 4 super boosters just giving just tons of cash. I'm not sure Florida's got that. But overall, they've been able to – I mean, they've won enough battles. DJ Lampley, the five-star quarterback last year. They've won enough of those battles that make you think that they've got something cooking. I'm not privy to their books, but we've heard mixed things. But not too many times do you hear, "Hey, they didn't get this guy because of NIL." It does come up, usually when they lose somebody to Miami. But I think I don't know. We don't. There's no way of really know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, does anybody really know?
Right.
Does anybody really know how? Like, if you're going to rank the top 10 NILs, what would you base it on? How much money that? Well, we don't always have access to that kind of stuff. So I just don't think it's gotten in the way a ton. I think they've been. Well, let's put it this way. Billy Napier personally told me he thought they'd been a big help. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, and then we know, speaking of Miami, that's a huge opener for momentum, especially. They need to win that game. And then it would also help with another Gator legacy because of Ben Hanks Jr. And, man, I'm getting old. Like, I just
we're getting old, man. When I was in school at the University – by the way, you guys should come to a Florida game. I'm telling you, it's fun. I don't know if you've ever been down there before. I mean,
I've been to the campus. I haven't been inside of – Ben Hill Griffin.
Listen, Drew, it'd be a little hot on August 31st at the But yeah, so Ben Hanks Sr. played for Florida in the early 90s. And for those who don't know, when Steve Spurrier got to Florida in 1990, well, I guess he might have been hired New Year's Eve 1989, but his first season was 1990. There were two retired numbers at Florida. One was Steve Spurrier's number 11. The other was a guy named Scott Brantley, a linebacker who set all kinds of tackle records at Florida. They were retired numbers, which meant nobody was going to play them. Steve Spurrier himself, the guy that's got the hugest ego in the world and all that stuff, he unretired the numbers because he didn't think numbers should be retired. He thought that was ridiculous. He got Scott Brantley's approval. Unretired them. The first person he gave number 11 to, Ben Hanks Sr.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. That's pretty big. But now 18 years, actually it's been more than that. It's been 30 years, but Ben Hanks Jr. is now a senior at Miami Booker T. Washington. It's kind of a Florida-Miami battle here. Georgia was involved, but we think they're kind of trending down in this recruitment. Florida-Miami battle, so you've got the legacy, but, kids in Miami, it's just one of those cities when people who grew up down there, a lot of those kids, that is their world. That is their whole orbit down there. And it's sometimes tough to get kids out of there, just like it might be tough to get a kid away from Alabama or Auburn out of the state of Alabama. So, he's a four-star cornerback. He's in what was the Army All-American Bowl, now the All-American Bowl. He's playing in that game. Really good player. Florida, there's been some peaks and valleys in this recruitment. They kind of got a late start. They were a little bit behind going into the June official visits. They made a big move during those official visits. Then Miami got some momentum. Now there's some chatter that maybe the momentum swung back towards Florida. We will see. He's going to have a decision probably in August. It could get extended into the season. I don't think he's going to be there this weekend. I think they're just tired from all the visits, quite frankly. But certainly somebody to watch. Florida does not have a defensive back committed right now.
Oh, wow.
So they've got to get cracking here. And I think Ben Hanks is probably the top uncommitted cornerback. They're going to try to flip a bunch of guys. I mean, you and I, look, we all know now when you commit, that's really not the end of your recruitment, okay? I can't even say that without laughing, okay? It's, but yeah, we got to get you guys to a game. I mean, take your pick. The home schedule this year is incredible. And
2000. That was when I was there. Auburn was at Florida in 2000. That was the only time I've been there. It did not go so well for Tommy Tuberville that day.
Well, Auburn does have some big wins down there.
They
though.
do.
And I was at a couple of them. The funny thing about that, Tim Tebow never. That was one of those great rivalries, Florida and Auburn. I could go on and on here. They were the two closest schools. I mean, that was the school closest to Florida. Florida fans love traveling to Auburn. You go straight up I-75, turn left on 82, and take that sucker all the way up through Albany and into Columbus, and next thing you know, you're in Auburn 4.5 hours later. They love that rivalry, and the SEC took that away. But so many great games. Tim Tebow never beat Auburn, 0-2. Bo Jackson, 1-3 versus Florida.
Right here we have Andy Fuller. Andy Fuller caught a huge –
that was a huge win.
Huge touchdown pass in a win down there in Gainesville.
Yep. That was a great win.
What year? Give me the year.
Oh,
93.
93.
Oh, yeah. Well, wait a second. 93 was at Auburn. That was the Auburn one. 94.
94.
Yeah,
my bad. Yeah.
And those were two unbelievable games. And the 94 loss, probably keeps Florida from playing for a national title.
Right.
So,
good stuff.
Great series. But
well, you guys keep up the good work. I saw Nick down there, and he was doing a great job in Dallas. over there. We had a good time. I know he's doing a lot of great work for you, and I know so is Zach Albaverde. You got a great staff, and, of course, Corey.
Yeah.
But just keep up the great work, Keith. Let everybody know how to connect with Gators Online.
Yeah, man, just go to GatorsOnline.com. That's the place to be. So we appreciate everybody. And, obviously I covered Auburn for so many years. I love the people of Alabama. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Keith.
All right, thanks, Keith.
Yeah, take care, guys.
All right, let's get a break in. Stroll down memory lane.
Yeah, it was 94 because, see, Auburn's on that win streak, remember?
Yep. Let's get a break.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
at tptix.com.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Short time left here in hour number one. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. Great conversation there with Keith Niebuhr.
Always good stuff with Keith.
Kind of strolling down memory lane of all the Florida Auburn matchups that happened over the year.
A lot of big
I remember, I remember being in Tuscaloosa when Florida and Mike Shula in Alabama, and Alabama just romped Florida. I remember that one.
Yeah.
And I was there for that one. But then I was also there for when Auburn got a late kick inside Jordan-Hare Stadium to beat Florida. I forget the year. They all kind of run together.
Yeah.
But I remember being down there and we doing a live shot literally on the field, like right after the kick. And everyone was going crazy down there, and it was.
And
it was
the
chaotic.
game you're with the Shula game is 05 against Urban Meyer and his infallible plan.
I'm trying to see here when the Alabama or when Auburn beat Auburn beat Florida inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. I can't remember that year. Like I said, they've all kind of running together. But anyway, coming up in hour number 2, we will switch conversations and talk a little LSU. That'll come up at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. But the phone lines will be open to you to kick off hour number 2, 256-576-4977 if you want to join the program.
Yeah, we took a couple calls yesterday, but we mostly focused on high school football. I mean, we were on the air for 8 hours. I mean, off and on. I mean, it was a marathon. It was just kind of an extension of SEC Media Days. So
it was, yeah.
Yeah, we put a lot of time in, but I thought we did a great job covering SEC Media Days, and then we did a great job covering the High School Football Media Day. We appreciate, as Scott said earlier, Fleming Roofing and Restoration for sponsoring, and the Huntsville Sports Commission for being there. So much local media, just giving these kids the attention they deserve, and it is a lot of work to get 17 schools in one place, and we were able to do that, and all of them are. It was a mix. So several of them are going to open camp in less than a week on Monday, this coming Monday, and then a few of them are going to be waiting until August the 5th, because you have that choice now to either have a spring and then a spring game. Or just get that extra time in, extra few days of practice to start camp in July. Some of that has to do, you decide, like Coach Jimmy Gay told us from Huntsville High, because he didn't have a spring because he was still putting his staff together, seeing he was going to be on that staff and getting the lay of the land. And sometimes it's because of 2 sport athletes and sometimes 3 sports, and sometimes you have a late coaching change. So it was interesting, though, but it was great to catch up with everyone.
All right, we are just about done with our number 1. And Talking Ball is going to return here in just a little bit. Coming to the bottom of the hour again, Billy Embody will join us. We'll get to your phone calls, 256-576-4977. Plus, we got some more college football conversation. We'll also throw in some NFL conversation because it's a big day around the league. In case you are wanting the start of football back sooner, it's coming, folks. Hour 2 coming up next.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
.77 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome in to a Tuesday edition show. Of course, this hour brought to you by our very, very, very good friends, SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They're dedicated to providing care that improves lives. Give them a call, 256-881-5151. You, too, can experience that SportsMed difference. 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the program this morning. Let's start hour 2 by visiting the phone lines. Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
What's up, Brandon?
finally made it back to the land of the living, gentlemen.
It took a couple of days, and then we had the marathon yesterday, so it's been busy, but a good kind of busy at 97.7 The Zone.
Don't advise leaving Dallas at 3:30 in the afternoon and driving all night to get back.
Jeez.
Don't advise in doing that.
No, because the road never stops.
It never does. It's monotonous.
I've done it before. You can see whole freight trains. It's just weird. I mean, Texas just never seems to end.
But we did find you a new spot to eat, Brandon. If you're ever near Little Rock, it's called Verona's. Verona's Italian food, man.
I have to check that place out. Verona's Italian food.
Yeah,
Scott ate 3 loaves of homemade bread.
You're not going to be overwhelmed by the decor or anything like that.
But
it's
you will be the food.
Fancy on the outside, but man, oh man, they make the what'd she say? They make the lasagna.
Yeah.
A lot of the bakes are homemade pastas and sauces and everything.
Yeah.
And it's
outstanding.
It's legit. Tiramisu is homemade.
Yeah,
I'll say that it's darn
Scott,
good.
that's how Scott got his last boost to make the run to Memphis. It was the tiramisu.
Don't know how.
Well, I would say feel sorry for me, but don't. Delta paid me a lot of money to not fly.
There you go.
I mean, they did. They paid us every single day. We showed up yesterday, and we sat down for our 10 o'clock flight. That didn't happen. And the lady at the desk looked at me, and she was like, "You on the bump today?" And I was like, "If you got money, I got time." I thought I was going to have to fight the wife right there in the middle of the terminal.
Yeah.
But it turned out pretty good for us. It rained the entire time on the Alaskan cruise, so that wasn't much fun.
Oh.
And I stayed up there at Pine Street right near the Pike Market. And I think if we hadn't left when we did, I had about organized a crackhead fight club.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, dude. There's some craziness going up in that place. I mean, when you got 4 days to just meander around and just walk around the city and kind of explore, you find a whole lot of stuff going on. And y'all were talking about Rich Rod earlier, and you're talking about new restaurants. Well, how about Rich Rod getting a Whataburger?
Uh-oh. Did he?
Did they get one down there in Jacksonville?
Yeah. They got a Whataburger down there.
They've been popping up, man. I'm telling you.
Look, I tell you what, there was a lot of them in Dallas. Now there were a few in and outs, but there was obviously
B plus to A-, Brandon. Had me some In-N-Out burger. Animal style.
How was it on the price compared to other places?
I know the price was very economical. I mean, I had a double combo with animal style on the burger and the fries, and a chocolate shake, and of course a large drink, and it wasn't even $16. And I had peppers that about torched me, but they were good.
Well,
I didn't know about the peppers. The peppers was a little bit of an unknown that I discovered, but they added some spice.
Well, I heard about that while I was gone, and that they're going to rename the Jacksonville State Stadium, and there was people that were real bent out of shape about that. Apparently, they're getting some money, and it's not going to be called the same field anymore.
No, it's not. Jacksonville State did announce a few days ago that they have partnered with. There is a new name to it.
Right.
So they're renaming that, getting some money off of that. So I feel like in his second life, that Rich Rod's doing a really good job of reinventing himself and coming from the ground up. I don't know that he would ever jump into another big-time job.
Yeah.
From where he's at now, but I feel like he could ride that wave up.
So it's Jacksonville State now. It's going to be known as Amherst Stadium for Jacksonville State. They're still keeping the field.
Burgess Snow Field,
but the stadium will be called Amherst Stadium.
Gotcha.
Good for them. Take that money and move up. Now, do y'all ever do any media days for like them and Troy and UAB or any of that kind of stuff?
Last year we did a tailgate tour, and Drew and I visited North Alabama. We visited Alabama A&M, and we had Jacksonville State on the phone, and we had UAB on the phone as well. Remember we talked to Trent Dilfer?
Yeah.
We are planning of doing that again this year, where we highlight the in-state schools. I don't know if we're going to be able to visit them all, but for sure we're going to try to visit UNA and Alabama A&M.
Well, Butch called and wanted to know if y'all were adding Arkansas State. He's still waiting on that invitation from 3 years ago when y'all were going to show up out there.
Well, I'm still asking him to sign a tight end that he didn't recruit either.
Yeah.
Could y'all imagine getting in the car after y'all's trip and driving to Arkansas State?
No. But if I could stop at Verona's,
yeah,
on the
there
way,
we go. I knew that was coming.
I wouldn't make it. I knew it just to stop there. Although,
well,
we'll see.
We ate at a place up in Ketchikan, Alaska, the Red Diner, which was really good.
Oh, wow.
Their red crab legs are $114 a pound, which I did not partake in. Not crazy enough to pay that kind of money, but the seafood that you get in some of those places, unbelievable. Speaking of, I picked y'all up a little gift, and when I could sleep more than about 4.5 hours, 3 hours, however long it was I slept before I had to get up and take my son to football, I will bring that to you at some point. And I just want to let you know, I'm already hearing from the Spring Garden basketball mamas. They are fired up. They asked me if y'all were still going to broadcast the game of theirs, and I told them, I said, I will get with Drew, and I will let you know after I've had 8 solid hours of sleep. So just put a pin in that one, and I'll get back to you.
Well, there's no telling what kind of food we could get in Spring Garden.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see if we can make that one happen. We will.
Yeah.
We will. I mean, that's a basketball season, but we'll have to see if we can make that one happen. Brandon, thanks for the phone call. Glad you got home safe, and thanks. Safe travels, bud.
Roll Tide.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I forgot about Spring Garden because we're nearing football season, so a lot of things that we were thinking about is football, but I forgot that we said that we would do a Spring Garden basketball game. Did we say we would do?
They were there. They were wanting us to do a remote down there and do a game.
We'll have to think
Ace
about
Austin.
It. Yep, 256-576-4977. So this is kind of fun. So you mentioned the preseason AP poll.
Yeah.
How many since 2014? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since 2014, how many teams have been ranked? How many different teams have been ranked preseason number 1 in the last 10 years? 5.
Okay.
Only 5 teams in college football have been ranked. 5 different teams have been ranked number 1 to start the year. Florida State in 14. We know how that worked out.
F.
Ohio State in 15.
Yeah.
And then you had Alabama in 16, Alabama in 17, Alabama in 18, Clemson in 19 and 20, Alabama in 21 and 22, and Georgia in 23.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2014, that's who has been ranked preseason number 1 in college football. Only 5 different teams. I think that's why everybody is excited for the 12-team college football playoff, that hopefully maybe the same 5 teams don't end up winning national titles.
Well, I think it'll still be the same 5. That's just me. Just extra rounds. Some shellackings.
Georgia you would expect to be preseason number 1 again?
I mean, I'll be surprised if it's not them. I mean, they have a lot of holes to fill, but they got a quarterback back. They got coaching staff stability and some quality additions to said staff, and Travarius Robinson and James Coley. And so,
do you see that Josh Pate believes that Georgia is the best team, but because of their schedule,
that's a valid point.
He said that he believes Georgia is the best team probably in the SEC, but their schedule is so tough that he doesn't think they'll end up in Atlanta.
Interesting. Need to catch up with Josh after media days. We weren't able to get him live on Radio Row. He's a very busy guy, but we were equally as busy. But it'd be interesting to catch up with him in the post-SEC media days. Stuff and see what his thoughts are, and because again, I think overall, I mean, Alabama has a tough schedule, Georgia has a tough schedule, Texas has some really tough games, and that's going to matter. But here's the thing: even if you don't make it to Atlanta now with the new format and the 12-team playoff, you can still get into said playoffs and still have a chance to win a national championship. Just might not win an SEC, and you might have a tougher road because might not get that bye or might not have a home game.
All right, Johnny on his cell is with us this morning. Good morning, Johnny.
Morning, Johnny.
Good morning. So, really and truly, if you don't win in Atlanta, you're actually better off not going to Atlanta and just taking that 6 or 7 seed and beating down whoever comes to your house.
That was a discussion, believe it or not. That was a discussion there in Dallas. It was, okay, yeah, if you win the SEC championship game, if you go to Atlanta, you win the SEC championship game, you get a bye. So you don't have to play that first week. But you're also going to get a good team on the flip side of that coming out of that bye. So is it better to not go to Atlanta and take the bye before you go into the playoffs, or take the bye that first week of the playoffs?
I mean, I personally, as much as the world may want to see another contender come out of that group you just mentioned, the cream rises to the top. The only thing that's going to happen is that these SEC schools are battle tested. They, like you said, everybody's got a tough schedule. They will all have learned how to win on the road. They will all learn how to, play in adverse, circumstances. And nobody, they can say what they want about it's going to be more, but what it's going to be more of is going to be more SEC because it just means more. I'm sorry, but you think you're getting more inclusion. Yeah, you're getting inclusion to a playoff. You're getting a spot at the dance. But at the end of the day, those Final Four chairs are that's going to belong to SEC teams more often than not because of the caliber of talent.
We got you, Johnny.
Yeah.
There'll be a Big Ten here and there, but it's going to be dominated by the South, and they can just lump it because that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, totally agree. You feel the same way?
Well, the SEC is the best league. It's going to I would expect each year 3 to 4 SEC teams being in the playoff. I'll be shocked because if you just go back and look at the time of the college football playoff with the Final Four, just like last year, Georgia easily would have been in. A lot of people, including myself, believe they were still one of the 4 best teams, but it was just circumstances and when they lost. Now losing in the SEC championship game is not going to be the disaster that it was last year for Georgia because they missed the playoff altogether.
But let's just say that at the end of the year, we've got Bama, Ole Miss, Texas, and Georgia. They make the squad. Those 4 teams make it to the playoff. How many teams in America would be favored on the road against those 4 schools?
It's true. It's going to be difficult to beat them on the road, no doubt about it.
So if you get them in the dance, they're going to play. And that's just I think where they are in the world, and I don't think it's going to. Based on recruiting, based on everything else, I don't think that dynamic shifts over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Have a great day, guys.
All right, thanks,
Thank you, Johnny.
I think he's right. Jim Phillips believes the ACC is there as well. He believes they are tops.
Yeah, of course he does.
Brett Yormark believes the Big 12 is.
He's also got moonshine in his Kool-Aid.
The best. That is what's good though about media days is I give all the college commissioner
of
or
course,
all the
they're going to lay it on thick.
They do, and
I wonder who writes their speeches and all that stuff and does all that research and what.
You're right, but I give them all credit because they all sat there.
They come up with something.
Yep. They all.
We got the most NFL quarterbacks live right now. Who gives a rat's ass?
They all do a good job of propping up their conference and propping up how good they are and everything else like that. They all do. They do a good job of that, and it makes it for fun conversation. Let's get a break in. When we come back, phone line's still open to you, 256-576-4977.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere. Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Johnny on his cell was talking about the college football playoffs, and we kind of brought it up during the commercial break that if you are one of the, 5, 6, and 7, I believe, those are the ones that you're going to be at home. If you don't make it, if you don't win your college football championship, you will be at home. The next round games will be on bowl sites.
Yep.
So if you are at home for that first round game, you won't have to play on the road. The next time you're going to be playing in a neutral site game. From there on, it's going to be all bowl games. So which path is better? I mean, it's going to be dissected a ton, especially once we get the 12-team bracket. And we got a long ways to go before we can get there.
We ain't even played a damn game.
I know.
I mean, it's just people say the offseason's gone by quickly. Not to me. I mean, it's just taking forever, and they continue to talk about the brackets and the 12-team playoff and the importance of conference championship games. Maybe not going to a conference championship game. Brandon talked about he texted in, talked about the 5 spot being a guaranteed home game, and I guess it's a 5. What is it? Is it a 5-12 matchup? So you're almost guaranteed to win. So I said, well, I guess that's why Notre Dame agreed, because right now they have no conference, so they can't be a top 4 seed. So
no,
they must not care.
So we went from SEC Media Days to not having a show on Friday to being at High School Football Media Days yesterday. So when you look at the SEC Media Days and you look at the three biggest headlines that you can take away from last week, what would be the three biggest headlines to you that came out of Dallas?
Three biggest headlines. I mean, look, I guess, that Texas and Oklahoma joining the league officially. That's the first one because and then Texas being picked in the top 2 in the league. Kirby Smart taking over the mantle as the man because Nick Saban is no longer coaching, no doubt about it. And then just the surreal feeling of Nick Saban being a part of the media and not being coaching on the sidelines. I think that's the 4 headlines. And then 3, and I would add a 4th. And that was just the respect Monty Kiffin got, because he passed away right before the SEC Media Days, and we saw Lane Kiffin there, and he was very subdued. And the majority of the coaches that attended all paid homage to Monty, who was extremely well respected in the profession.
So I look at it, and the conversation for me was, a lot of people like Jalen Milroe as a quarterback, but they're really anxious to see what he's going to do in a Kalen DeBoer system.
Yeah, I mean, no
that
question.
That was some of the feeling there. A lot of Tennessee people that you talk to love Nico. They think that he is.
And they're praying because Nick Saban retired and the boogeyman's gone that they're finally going to start beating Alabama again.
And I'll just say this, that the conference missed Nick Saban, at least from the media day perspective. Yes, he was there on the TV side, but I think a lot of people miss him as a head coach because of what he always said there at media days.
Well, I mean, the most electricity was when Sark spoke on the same day as Coach Saban. I mean, I knew I'd say that. Coach DeBoer,
right.
Because Alabama and Texas went at the same time. The most electricity that was felt in the media room was when, Coach Sark was up on the podium. Because you got to remember, A&M, there was a lot of people there, and they were excited. But, look, Elko is in his first year. And Elko, I think he's going to do a heck of a job, okay? I was very critical of Dirtneck. And rightfully so. I was right. But I think Elko is going to be a really solid hire, but he's not as sexy a hire as Sark because Sark won a national championship at Alabama his last year. We know what his offenses do, and Elko is more meat and potatoes and just solid fundamental football. But I still think he's going to be a really great hire. But by far and away, I thought the most electricity was when you had Alabama and Texas on the same day. And, of course, with Kalen DeBoer, it's filling the shoes of the greatest of all time.
And I did feel sorry for Clark Lee.
Yeah, he's taking a knife to a gunfight, dude. I mean, they're working, they're grinding, they're trying as hard as they can, and they hopefully got these facility upgrades that have been 35 years in the making, that they finally started to modernize their facilities. But still, it's tough. I mean, you're talking about, because again, it's priorities, and I just have never felt like Vanderbilt prioritized athletics very much, and so it's going to be very, very difficult, especially with the way it's changed even more toward right now anyway, until they put some guardrails up on this, on NIL and the transfer portal. Look, Vandy had some good players last year. You saw what happened. They got
raided.
Yeah, they got raided. They all left. And so it's just going to be really, really difficult for Vanderbilt to compete.
All right, 256-576-4977. If you want to join the program, if you want to join the show this morning, feel free to do so. It is a big day around the NFL because veterans for 23 NFL teams report to training camp today. Most of the league will be on the field by tomorrow, and you have 9 days until the Hall of Fame game gets underway in Canton, Ohio.
And we'll have a full preview by the Czar.
I won't preview. We're not going to preview the game, but just in case you are wondering, you get the likes of Arizona, Buffalo, Carolina, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Denver, Detroit, Jacksonville, Las Vegas, the Chargers, the Rams, the
No,
Dolphins.
he loves the Hall of Fame game, man. He's all about it.
It's easy in Minnesota.
Who's in the
Giants,
game this year?
Jets. I don't know who's in there.
Hell,
I
didn't
really
look it
don't
up.
know. Oh, by the way, the Tennessee Titans do report today.
There you
All
go.
their veterans do report today for training camp. So it is a big day
Calvin
around
Ridley.
the NFL because the Titans do report. And it's a new era there in Nashville. New head coach. Mike Vrabel no longer there.
Yep.
Brian Shanahan taking over the Titans. So it's a big day there in Nashville. Plus the building of the new arena is ongoing right there from the thing. So a lot of things happening in Nashville. Let's get a break in. Billy Embodi's on the other side of it. He's going to talk a little LSU when we return.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandyman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hey folks, Bob Baumhauer here. We're extremely proud that Baumhauer's Victory Grill has been serving Alabama for 43 legendary years. Our motto is legendary fun, legendary food, and we strive to make every dining experience a special one for all of our guests. Our menu features delicious, always fresh and scratch-made in-house recipes. And of course, our award-winning wings and sauces. And don't forget, our happy hour and halftime daily specials cannot be beat. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? It might be in a call center somewhere, maybe 100 miles away, but my phone rings in my office.
The Lackey Law Firm.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're here. We're the ones who take your call.
And get what you deserve.
You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And this is the most important part. We'll treat you like family because that's exactly what we are.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone, 8:31 on a Tuesday morning. Welcome back into the program. And we had a lot of great conversation in Dallas about the LSU Tigers.
Yeah,
and
man.
the
I got him.
expectations and the
I got him
feelings
fifth, man. I think
and
they're gonna be
everything.
good.
Yeah. The one thing is the defense has to be better than last year. We talked a lot about that. And it can't be worse. But one thing, though, we do know is that Brian Kelly is still recruiting, at least at a high level, but he's also recruiting his own backyard and keeping a lot of kids in state.
He really is, and I think the defensive staff changes. I love all of them, and I talked about that in Dallas, and I saw this next gentleman in Dallas covering LSU. He does a great job for On3Sports.com. He's also very recently a father. His son Jack Ryder was born. He and his lovely wife Michelle. It was great to see Billy Embody. We hadn't had him on in a while, and so it was great to reconnect. And I know he's been busy. He was busy yesterday, but he's carved out some time this morning to talk some LSU, talk some SMU. He covers them very closely as they make the move to the ACC. But it's great to welcome Billy Embody into the conversation. Billy, what's up, man?
Thanks so much for having me, guys. How you doing?
We're doing great, man. It's great to have you back in Huntsville. You were Drew and Scott. And first of all, LSU, I know you cover the recruiting very closely as well. As well, we got to the end of the week last week, a huge addition. We kind of had to read the tea leaves. Matt Moscona was with us on 104.5. He kind of hinted at DJ Pickett and that relationship with Corey Raymond, and boy, that paid off big for the Tigers.
100%. This was a massive land for LSU. I mean, they needed so much help in the secondary and for the future in particular, and they needed to go out and grab DJ Pickett because Corey Raymond spent so much time on him, and that dates back to his time at Florida, and DJ really had his eye towards going out of state. That was something I had heard throughout his recruitment, and LSU had really emerged early in the spring as the favorite, and as the summer got here and official visits started, and Oregon and Miami were really the two main challengers that had positioned themselves well to challenge LSU. But, DJ Pickett has a great relationship with Corey Raymond, and LSU has also, I think, emerged as a force in the NIL world as well.
Right.
They have Bryce Underwood, the number one overall prospect, committed at quarterback. Harlan Berry, a 5-star. They've got their claws in on a couple of other top uncommitted prospects, and they've really been a little bit selective, I would say, on when they deploy their resources. And DJ Pickett is one where it's kind of that perfect combination of Corey Raymond pushing really hard for him and LSU having its ducks in a row on the NIL front with their presentation and their pitch, which has actually gone through a revamp. With revenue sharing coming up, they've started pitching guys on, hey, here's what that means for you, and that really resonated with DJ Pickett to kind of push this thing across the finish line. And on top of that, he can walk in and start day one. That's how much help they need when it comes to the cornerback position.
Big weekend, though, this weekend for LSU, too, right? Hosting several
Dead
guys.
period over.
Yeah, dead. I mean, it's a big weekend.
Especially for 26 guys.
Yep, Coach Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only for 26s, but they're going to have 5-star safety Jonah Williams on campus. And he's, one of the more impressive prospects physically in the country. He's a baseball, football prospect who stands about 6'3"-ish, 205. He can run. He can, early on in his process, a lot of people said, well, this guy's going to, add 30 pounds and be a linebacker, which he could. But he's shown in the offseason that he can really run on the back end and play in the secondary as a big body. So LSU, Oregon, Texas A&M, they're all jockeying for him. He's the undisputed number one overall safety in the country. And I think he could very well end up being a 5-star plus, rated as a 5-star by every recruiting service. We haven't expanded ours to the full 32 yet, but if they ended today, he would be a 5-star plus prospect. So he's really highly thought of. LSU, again, is looking to remake that secondary that has struggled mightily over the last couple of years. And Jonah Williams is really next up, and that comes on the heels of them getting Derek Meadows, who they beat out Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia, and Oregon for.
Yeah, those were two huge ones, Derek Meadows and DJ Pickett. no doubt about it. And like we just said as you were coming on, I love what they did defensively as far as making the changes. Blake Baker did a great job at Mizzou. Everybody knows what I think of Bo Davis. I think he's the best defensive line coach in the country. And then I think one thing Brian Kelly did is he remedied something that never should have happened. He should have retained Corey Raymond. He gets Corey Raymond back already, feeling the benefit of that with B.J. Pickett. Could feel it with Jonah Williams. But the thing is, that Moscona told us something that really stunned me, and you kind of referenced it in your remarks here, is that LSU for so long was such a DB factory, was DBU, and as he told us, you go into this year, LSU probably doesn't have an NFL player in their secondary. That's pretty stunning.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of scary, but
right.
They have got a mix of veterans. They brought in some transfers. They're kind of hoping that one of these young freshmen really emerges as a guy. They like Ashton Stamps, who's in his second year. He was a guy that they evaluated and landed out of New Orleans, and they think really highly of. And Javian Toviano was arrested over the weekend, so that is actually thrown a wrench certainly into just the depth perspective for that room. But they also have P.J. Woodland and Michael Turner, two true freshmen that they think can develop into everyday contributors for them. But this front seven is going to have to get after the quarterback and really help the secondary this year, because there's just not a lot of great cover guys back there. And so they need somebody to step up and really take to whatever Corey Raymond is pushing and preaching to them and try to fix this thing and get it back on track by getting pressure on the quarterback and taking the pressure off of that secondary.
Yeah, because, the SEC is full of top receivers. They're going to have their work cut out for them this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why the rebuild is so important, and that's why DJ Pickett is such a headliner. And honestly, Bryce Underwood is a massive, massive land, but there's one thing LSU needed this cycle, and that was a corner. And so for them to get him is so important, and he's got the size, he's got the athleticism that you want on the back end to come in right away and play. And the work's not done. They're going to have to hit the portal, I would imagine, and address this room just with maybe another difference maker. And I think that's with the defensive staff, where it was last year in the first transfer portal window, they were sitting ducks. Everyone kind of thought Brian Kelly would make some moves.
Yeah.
But I think he miscalculated it, waiting until after the bowl game and maybe waiting to get some of these guys signed for the high school front. And they didn't have, I think, a urgency to make the change, go get who they wanted in terms of the new staff, and then bring them in and have them be able to go out in that window and address needs. And so you look at the defensive transfers that they brought in, I would say Jordan Gilbert, the safety from Texas A&M, is one they're counting on in terms of, him hitting and really being a difference maker. But then you have kind of some hoping and praying going on with players like Jair Brown from Ohio State. He hasn't played much there. Gio Paez is a former starter at Wisconsin who can help in the trenches. JVR Suggs is a Grand Valley State addition who's a strong guy, but that's a big jump for him. So they've added some pieces, but I bet you Blake Baker wishes he would have been on board about a month or two earlier.
Well, we're talking to Billy Embody, Go 24/7. I knew it. I knew I would do that because he switched On 3 Sports. Pardon me, he's part with On 3 Sports covering LSU. He made that switch several months ago as he joined the On 3 Sports family. But he also covers the SMU Mustangs. And I know you've been at ACC Media Days. We kind of talked about what the Jim Phillips opening remarks to kick off the show today. Big jump for SMU and Rhett Lashley. We talked about the $100 million they raised. What seems to be the temperature around Rhett in that program? And I know they're going to start fall camp in a couple of days.
Yeah, I think they really impressed a lot of people that haven't spent much time maybe around Rhett Lashley when they took the stage on Monday, and it was Rhett Lashley, Mike Norvell, and Brent Key who were up there because they all play week 0, so they let off and they all start fall camp this week. But I think Brett Lashley's done a really nice job prioritizing the right things when it comes to this move to the ACC. And it really is one of those things where expectations for this season are high in the sense that SMU fans know what has been invested in NIL and the transfer portal, going out and grabbing 13 of their 20 transfers in the trenches. And they also have 2 quarterbacks returning that they trust. They have a ton of talent on defense. That was one of the best defenses in college football last year. They, at the same time, have to make a move up that has not treated most programs well. I think one of the 4 that made the move up to the Power 5 last year made a bowl, and I think it was UCF that squeaked in there. And for SMU, they're going to be facing those same questions. How do you do with the grind of a week-by-week Florida State, Louisville, Duke, Stanford, Cal? Those are the types of teams that they're playing now versus, they started out 2 of their 4 non-conference games were Oklahoma and TCU that they showed well against Oklahoma, had a disappointing game against TCU, but then they got reprieve and they played East Carolina, one of the worst offensive teams in the country. Charlotte struggled, Temple struggled, and they blew out a lot of teams, and they were able to kind of coast into the final couple games of the regular season. Rice and Memphis were tough, and they punched their ticket and beat up on Tulane pretty good in the AAC championship game. But it's not the same, of course, going to the ACC, and that's one of the things that, talking with some of the players, and Elijah Roberts actually played for Miami. He was kind of an afterthought on that defensive line and turned into a first-team All-AAC defensive end, and he looks like he's got NFL written all over him now. But he said that's the thing that I'm telling the guys on this team. They've got to be in the training room. They've got to be getting extra treatment because the bumps and bruises add up over the course of the season. But SMU does have talent. They do have a lot of depth that they've addressed in the trenches in particular, and they're really hoping that if they get the right development and steps forward from some of their returning players, that all of this work in the portal and building towards this moment over the last couple of years, in particular in the trenches, will pay off for them.
We talked a lot about, earlier in the show, we talked about the money that SMU was able to raise in a short amount of time to kind of help offset what they may or may not be getting from the ACC.
Yeah, $153 million, I think, is what they finished up with. Yeah, but the $100 million, you're right, did come in that first week, and that's what, with Baylor and TCU, they were the main programs that kept SMU out of the Big 12. And this is exactly the kind of reason why. They didn't want to awake more boosters and get everyone excited around SMU because there were key people that were always supporting football and basketball and building these facilities. I mean, they're set to open a $125 million end zone complex, which doubles as football operations and suites here in the next few weeks. And they've spent about $250 million on facilities in the last 8 years or so. They've always had people that wanted to build on that front, but now it got to the point with NIL and revenue sharing's coming that if SMU didn't get into the power ranks, would we see that fatigue really set in? And instead, they got into the ACC. They are taking less money, but they're actually ahead. They were going to get $7 million from the AAC and that TV deal, and now they're going to get around $16 million because they're going to get ACC network money. They're just not getting the big chunk of change, the $21 million that is tier one. So they're ahead already, and then they fired up the donor base that always kind of sat there and said, I support, but I'm supporting in the 5-figure range or, low 6 figures. Well, they had 30 7-figure donations in that first week, and that's the exact reason why those schools wanted SMU to stay in the group of 5, and now they've got a top 25 recruiting class. There's a lot of momentum behind that program, and if they put it together on the field and have an encouraging first season in the ACC, if they can find a way to be 4-0, beat BYU, TCU, going into their ACC opener against Florida State, Ford Stadium should be sold out and really have buzz around it for what could be a really special weekend, kind of regardless of the outcome against Florida State. I saw those guys that Mike Norvell brought with him to ACC Media Days, and they're big, they're long, they're athletic. They really look the part of a top 5 team. So, but nonetheless, there's a lot of momentum around SMU, and they're spending money to be committed to winning, and that's not every power conference team can say that. You know, revenue sharing is really going to hit hard.
It really is.
What about the ACC as a whole, though?
Yeah, what was the feeling around it? I mean, with because we know that SMU's super excited to be there, but maybe Florida State, Clemson, they're trying to get out.
Yeah, I was picking the brain of a couple of Florida State beat writers and just kind of asking them, what's the plan for Florida State? Because look, the Big 12 is talking a big game, and they're certainly excited about their changes. But at the end of the day, is their TV revenue going to go up so substantially that they can offer more than what the ACC is going to be able to do and has done? You know, they're offering basically bonuses for programs that go deep into the playoffs or make bowls. If you go to the college football playoff, I think you can get an additional $20 million in payout from the league just for that year. So the ACC is doing some things to reward programs that spend at a high level and win at a high level. And I don't know what the Big 12 can offer. If you're asking me if Clemson and Florida State are going to stay in the ACC in the long term, they're suing the conference. I don't know if that's something that's likely to happen, but there's a lot to play out in the courtrooms. I mean, between the grant of rights, like if that gets struck down, all bets are off. And then that's where you'd see, in my opinion at least, the Big Ten or the SEC know that they could get those schools like Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten on a little bit of a discount, but they'd still be in a better position. They'd be making more money. And that's where you'd see those conferences maybe fire up those recruiting pitches, but they're not going to get into openly alluding to going after Clemson and Florida State like the Big 12 is. And there's a sense, though, that what ESPN can do with the ACC and the ACC network as well, which is actually pretty profitable for the league. It's a strong network, and that's something that is being talked about. Jim Phillips was pretty adamant that they're exploring all sorts of different new revenue streams and increasing and finding ways to improve their revenue streams that they already have, which he's doing his job, and that could happen. But ESPN, if they basically allow Florida State and Clemson to leave, because it comes down to what the TV networks are going to pay. If they allow that to happen, it's going to hurt the ACC network, which is actually making a considerable amount of money. It's not far off from the SEC network in terms of what it's making for its league members, but they've got to consider that when making their decisions on how to approach they have a window, they have a look-in window on the contract year coming up, and they can do some things that can kind of tweak maybe how it's done or tweak the revenue going to schools like Clemson and Florida State. And so I think all options are on the table, but there wasn't a sense from the Florida State beat writers that this move for Clemson and Florida State is about going to the Big 12. It's about going to the big league, so to speak. And, the ACC is, I think, a little bit better than people give it credit for, despite the turmoil around those two programs. I mean, you have Florida State, you have Clemson on football, you have, a couple other marquee name brands. And then you also have the basketball side of it, which isn't the end-all be-all when it comes to TV contracts, but Duke, North Carolina, all of those. The Big 12 has Kansas in basketball, and that's kind of it. And I like what Utah does, but still not a blue blood in football. So there's a lot of posturing going on in the media and narratives and things like that. But most Florida State people believe that they're going after this type of a move to hit it big with a Big Ten or an SEC.
Well, great stuff from Billy Embody. Bengal Tiger on 3, SMU on 3. He's a must-follow if you're a fan of the Bayou Bengals or the SMU Mustangs. Brother, it was great to see you in Dallas, and I know continued success. Congratulations again on your growing family. It's great to catch up, and we hope to talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Let's get that final break in. Wrap it up with your tomorrow's headlines next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome back into the program today. We've talked a lot of college football. It's preseason time. And in case you are wondering, the American Athletic Conference put out their preseason poll. Memphis picked to win it. Why do we care? Well, our good friend John Summerall and the Tulane Green Wave have been picked to finish third in the American poll. Army making their first year. Remember, Army's not independent anymore.
Right.
They are in the American. They have been picked to finish fifth in the 14-team league. Yeah. So there you go. John Summerall picked to finish third in his first season as head coach of the Tulane Green Wave.
Yeah, and hopefully that'll be erroneous, and he will win the league. We'll see, but certainly rooting hard for John Summerall. And I was talking to Bob Gotze yesterday about Reese Baker. Reese Baker, of course, all-state offensive lineman at Madison Academy, who has signed with Tulane and will play for John Summerall. So wish him all the success in the world. Ken Cherry, of course, going to Samford. A lot of those young men going to play college football from that special senior class. And, of course, we know Jackson Reese is going to run track at UAH. But that was a special group of Mustangs, and certainly Josh Williams and those guys and A.J. Rice are going to lead the group this year and try to return Madison Academy to the state finals again. But again, just it was a great day yesterday, and I think Tulane's going to have a good team under John Summerall. He hit the ground running at Troy. Nobody expected him to average 11 wins a year there in 2 years. So anxious to see the impact he can make at Tulane in year one.
All right, there you go. We're done. 2 hours. back in studio. Like I said, it's the first time over a week.
Yeah, it felt kind of weird.
It did.
Yeah.
All right, we're done, though. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry